I try to hold the balance of right now in this moment, this is all that matters and this sucks. But tomorrow, it's not going to be that big of a deal. It's just not going to be that big of a deal.
This test that you just failed, it matters and you got to feel it, but what you do with that feeling changes everything. It's not the end of the world. You're going to get to take another test. So in the grand scheme of things, it's actually going to help you if you take the lessons from the pain.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was episode number 1341. How do you balance gratitude and goals? Grateful aspiration, as Alan said, grateful ambition, as I say. Today, for episode number 1342, one powerful thought that you need to understand. Okay, this is going to be a challenging thing to explain just because I don't really know what the hell I'm talking about. So I'm going to do my best. Alan and I are going to see where we go with this, but here's my thought. When I give advice to somebody who's early in podcasting, early in anything really, other than relationships, because we've kind of talked about that. Let's just use podcasting. Let's just use entrepreneurship as an example. One of the pieces of advice I give is you're not going to make it today. You're not going to break it today. Most likely. Most likely, you're not going to accomplish everything you want today. It's not going to happen. Most likely, you're not going to lose everything you've worked for today either. Just statistically, it's most likely not going to happen. It's not going to happen in one day. And the reason I tell people that in podcasting, right? This episode doesn't really matter that much. But right now, it's the only thing that matters. In the grand scheme of it, episode 1102 doesn't really matter that much. I don't remember it. If you're listening, you probably don't remember it specifically, but at the time, it was the most important thing we were doing. I like to say that to people because I think it gives you a sense of control, but also grace. The control to understand that you can affect what's happening right now, but the grace to understand that you can also try to do better tomorrow. So the one powerful thought that you need to understand: today is everything, but it also is nothing. Today is everything. You could unfortunately get hit by a car. Something tragic could happen to you, right? That could happen. Most likely it won't. But also, today is nothing, because tomorrow you're going to get to take everything that you did today and make it better. That, if you can kind of live life with that understanding, juggling those two thoughts, I think it helps you. I think it allows you to be more humble, but also more confident. Humble with the regards of, congrats, you got 10 new clients. Like, that's great. But you might lose 9 of them tomorrow. That's possible. So don't think about it too much and say, oh yeah, we're crushing it. Everything's going to be fine. Tomorrow's a new day and there's a lot of things that can happen tomorrow. So today, it matters. Everything matters. 10 out of 10 matters. But also in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter at all. And again, the best way to put it is this episode is important. In this moment, it's my only focus. It's it. But it also doesn't really matter that much because we've already done 1,341 other ones. So this isn't going to be the one that most likely catapults us to success.
Kev, well said.
I don't know, man. It's a tough thing to explain.
So recently I was behind the scenes with Kev and I said, I don't think he holds duality super well. And that was probably too direct, but
I'm used to it.
Yeah.
Oh, my nose.
What I meant by that, a lot of people have binary thinking, black or white, 1 or 0, yes or no, up or down. Duality is very important. And I often say things like, life is the dance between two extremes. So too hot, too cold, up, down, left, right, light, dark, good, bad, constructive, destructive, that whole thing. We are all living life in duality at all times, yin and yang. In the last episode, we talked about grateful aspiration. So grateful for what you've achieved while going for what you haven't yet achieved. So some people actually think in binary. They think, like, let me give an example. So I'm thinking of someone right now. and she thinks I'm in great shape. That's it. That's the extent of the contemplation. Whereas I think I'm in great shape compared to most, but in way worse shape than I used to be, and definitely worse shape than I'm going to be. See the layers? There's so many layers to life. You know, you can say, here's a good example. We're reading the book How Emotions Are Made by Lisa Barrett Friedman. I don't know the name of the author. How Emotions Are Made. She uses a great example. She says, my husband would say that's blue, versus an artist would say, no, that's actually royal blue. Mm. That's what distinctions are. So Kev, what's a good example of this? Okay, so I would say, hey, I'm doing a pull day tonight. And someone who doesn't know what I'm talking about would think, okay, so probably back. I'm going to do some back. Whereas Kev is like, okay, so he's going to do lats. He's going to do rear delts. He's going to do lat pull downs. He's going to do XYZ. Biceps. The number of distinctions you have is the number of the amount of intelligence you have in a given arena. I digress here. Everything matters and nothing matters simultaneously. That's a duality. In the grand scheme of thing, when you think from the frame of the universe, we're all just specks of dust. Mm. You know, ashes and dust, right? Gladiator reference. But when you think about today and, you know, what we do with it, and this podcast episode and me spending quality time with Emilia tonight, it means the world. It means everything. Yep. That duality. And so, Kev, I'm going to flip it on you because I think that
anything on me, son. You better watch your words with me.
You better watch your words, brother. Brother. Recently, I told Kev that I don't think he holds duality as well as he needs to in order for our business to flourish. And what I mean by that is this concept. And so obviously you've been thinking from that frame.
Here I
am
am doing an episode on it.
Here you are doing an episode on it. Let me ask you this. What's that been like, man?
I don't know.
In a condescending tone.
I think the best way...
Are you in shape or no?
No.
Okay.
But I'm on my way to better. Yeah. No.
Right.
I'm in between. I'm in between a current result and a future desire.
Okay.
And we all are.
Ain't as good as I once was.
Exactly.
But as good once as I ever was. That's what this episode is. Oh my God.
I think the best way, I really think it has helped me be more humble, but also humble and hopeful. That's it. Somebody asked me, I had this conversation, I think we might have talked about it, but now I can add a different layer. Alan and I, we did a training in Wisconsin. It went horribly wrong. Not horribly wrong. It's not like anything terrible happened. It just wasn't our best.
No one threw food.
Nobody threw food, which I wish they would have, because I was quite parched, hunger and thirst-wise at that point in the day. So here's an interesting thing. Do you want to know how not to stress over, or how to stress over a speech less? Do 3 in a row. You won't stress over the first one that much. Or you'll stress over the first one a ton, the second a little less, and the third one the least. When you have another, it's okay to strike out when you have another at bat. It's okay to break an egg when you got 11 other ones.
And these at bats are in people's mind.
Yes.
It's so interesting.
That day for me, that was our 4th rep of the day. We did 3 speeches to 330 kids each, and then we went and talked to the staff. And this is what, in my mind, it was literally this. I understand this moment sucks, and I understand you are extremely uncomfortable, and I understand there's a lot of embarrassment. I understand this isn't great. But in 2 hours, you're going to be back at the Airbnb, and you're going to be laughing about this. That's literally what got me through it. It was that. I tried to hold the balance of right now in this moment, this is all that matters, and this sucks. But tomorrow, it's not going to be that big of a deal. It's just not going to be that big of a deal. And again, I understand that's a very, very challenging thing to do, but I think it starts from, if you could do, what's a good, I know you said that I don't hold dualities well, and I agree. Or not as well as I need to.
I think you hold duality better than most, though. I want to make that clear.
Okay.
And I've always thought that.
I think that's why a lot of stuff, it's like, oh, somebody spilled something on my shirt. It's like, it's not that big. It doesn't matter. It's not that big of a deal. Like in this moment, I look like an idiot because I have a red stain on my shirt. Tomorrow, it doesn't matter because I'm not going to see any of these people again.
Remember the gravity takes a day off and you float out into space? You've been contemplative. People who and maybe that's what this episode's actually about, which again is a duality, but you've spent your life contemplating weird things.
I love it.
So you hold dualities. So on one frame, getting in a plane is not scary at all, statistically speaking. There's 0.00001% chance that the plane crashes.
Yeah,
right?
something like that.
Statistically speaking, it's just an irrational fear all around. Go ahead.
Or is it the most rational fear ever because you're flying through the sky in a metal tube at 550 miles an hour with two people you've never met driving the plane? They're driving the thing. You've never met them before.
Exactly. And so when you and I were talking about that, you're like, isn't it weird how you just like get on a metal tube and never meet the pilot and you have no idea like what their credentials are or anything? But that's why I think you do hold duality well. And for our listeners, that's at least my purpose of this is to help obviously the listeners. That's always the goal. But like holding duality, you have to practice holding duality. Meaning I love Emilia and I need Emilia, but I also can't be needy. You know, like I need you, babe, but also like I can't suffocate you with my neediness. Like you kind of have to always find 5 in everything. You have to. Work harder. Work harder. It's like, what if I'm already grinding 12 hours? Like, and it's all contextual. Everything in life is based on the goal, based on the approach, based on the person, based on the context, based on the core values, based on the circumstances, based on the environments. Aristotle, he said, do the right thing. Awesome. Congratulations. Thank you so much for the fortune cookie advice. He says, no. Who can do the right thing at the right time, in the right way, at the right moment, for the right reason, in the right amount, with the right people? That is what Next Level University is actually about. And if you can't hold duality, you're like a turtle or a goose who can only fly south.
I knew you were going to say turtle for some reason. I thought it in my mind. I think I persuaded you mentally to say it.
Yeah, you did. You're like a goose who can only fly south.
I've never heard that.
In the winter, the geese always fly
on Instagram.
Jim Rohn.
No, thought you might have the palm tree. I was listening to one of our latest episodes where you talked about the palm tree, and you're like, "No, I saw it on Instagram." Like,
of course. Yeah, I get a lot of my stuff on Instagram. But for someone who has held duality but maybe never called it that, and now has recently proactively started thinking this way, what's that been like? Because for our listeners, I think it's important.
The reason I wanted to do this episode is because I think it can help bring confidence to people. That's it for me. Is I just feel more confident that what happens today, and again, like obviously you can take it off the rail. Like if I get in my car and I hit somebody, that's not going to go away tomorrow, right? I'm not going to wake up and be like, thank God yesterday's over. Like there are some things that can happen. Again, obviously when we say that, it doesn't mean every situation. But I think it helps bring confidence. It helps bring the confidence. Give me an example.
Something you used to not be confident about, and now you are confident because of this duality.
Money, Perfect. Sales, business, being on podcasts. I had a couple shows last week where when it ended, I was like, that sucked. That wasn't great. It just wasn't the vibe wasn't great. It was just, they didn't do a lot of research. It just was clear that we weren't on the same wavelength. That's okay. And usually when I would get off, I'd be like, man, am I even good at this anymore? There's no way. I can't believe that didn't go well. Now it's like, that's okay. Swing and a miss. Just didn't.
So what would you do differently if you go back? What's the lesson?
The lesson is I think emotionally we treat far too many things that are momentary as permanent.
Mm-hmm. Just like we make long-term decisions. I keep losing I have this little rock that I fiddle with during podcasts. Irrelevant information. I apologize.
What's going on, guys? My name is Austin, and I've been working with Kevin for a few months now. If there's one thing that I find super valuable is his expertise on how to position the podcast to the right audience and fit the content into the overall business plan. And frankly, when we work together, he challenges me a lot. There were some tough conversations that he initiated with me so that I can really grow in the business. Besides the coaching part, the editing team does amazing work with editing and show notes and staying on top of all communications. Overall, my experience working with Kevin has really been top-notch.
We did an episode recently. Is that last week?
I don't even know. I think maybe 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
I think so.
Don't make long-term decisions based on short-term emotions. But in a way, and again, playing duality here, every decision is long-term. Every decision ripples into eternity, for lack of better phrasing, but definitely into your life. You make, everyone right now listening, think about a decision you made 5, 10, 15 years ago. If you had made a different decision, everything would be different.
Yeah.
You and I partnering, what if you had listened to that guy who was like, don't partner with him?
Who said that?
I don't know. Didn't someone say
No,
you don't want to partner or something? Business partners? There's been a lot of people who said business partners are a bad idea.
Yeah, but we were already together at that point. I was already
Yeah.
stuck with you. You're stuck with me.
Okay. Well, what if we had made a different choice? What if you hadn't brought we talked about this, what if you hadn't brought your podcast equipment to England and I hadn't noticed that and said in my head, Kevin's committed? Would we have partnered up? Would we be here today still? Would we be who we are today, right? And this is, the rabbit hole goes deep on this. But for the purposes of this episode, your decisions matter more than you think, but you're going to get another at bat, most likely. And I want to bring this in very quickly, but there's two frames here. There's the YOLO, like you only live once, rage it up, and I get it. But statistics and math, the global statistics of life expectancy are 74 years old for men and 76 for women. Last I looked on Google. And I think in our lifetime, due to technology, I think it'll be even higher. And so you kind of can't make choices. I don't want to say you can't. You shouldn't. It's not optimal to make choices for just today that are only going to benefit you today when you most likely, statistically speaking, like if the world was going to end in 1 week, obviously all of our choices would change.
YOLO.
You and I probably, what?
YOLO.
Yeah, you and I would not be here recording this.
Come on.
We probably still would, but we're
Yeah,
crazy.
But we put it in a time capsule, and then you and I could go off fishing with our loved ones and our
With
pets.
our loved ones.
Yeah.
I would definitely be spending that time with Emilia. I would come see you, brother. I would come see you.
It's a lie. You and I would
I would
probably
see
hop
you.
on a FaceTime. It's like, hey, man, where do you think we're going after this? I don't know. All right, man, have a good one.
Zombie apocalypse. I would definitely come to your place. But that's really the duality that we all have to hold is this test that you just failed, it matters and you got to feel it. But what you do with that feeling changes everything.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world. You're going to get to take another test. So in the grand scheme of things, it's actually going to help you if you take the lessons from the pain. But if you stop taking tests, it's really bad.
That's a really good frame. I'm glad I just had a memory pop free. Imagine this. If you're watching or listening, if you came to a next level you event and we said, everybody here, before you leave, you're going to have to take a test. One of the most powerful questions you could probably ask is, if I fail, do I get to take it again? Because if you fail, if you knew that, you might take the test completely differently. I remember when I worked at the building material supply place.
You and I can't talk. It's hilarious. The building material supply place.
Yeah, that's right.
You funny. No, it is. It's just hilarious.
Is it right?
Like, yeah, I don't know.
Building supply place, whatever. I worked at a place that had building stuff that would supply places that wanted to build stuff. Okay, that's where I worked one time.
Nice.
And I drove a forklift. They had a truck. It didn't require a special license. So they're like, you know how to drive a stick? Drive this truck. And I was like, hell yeah, this is awesome. I love this. They said, if you want to move up, you got to go get your CDL, your commercial driver's license. You got to take a test and you got to do all this stuff. And I was like, all right, okay, let
Class
me see.
B?
Class B. Class
Class
B.
B.
Yeah,
My
Class
mom
A
had
is
Class A.
Class A is the big one.
It's a funny joke, but she's a mother trucker.
Ha, I like that. Well,
Yeah,
very,
Class
very
A.
well done.
Class A license.
Is that mom's? Was that mom's joke?
Yeah.
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 I could guess that.
Mhm.
So I went. I go to the local DMV, Milford, Massachusetts, I believe.
Oh, yeah. That's where I failed my license, by the way.
You failed your license.
Yeah, I did.
Perfect. That's going to
Yeah.
connect to this nicely. So
Yep.
I say, hey, I'm here for the CDLB permit. Where do you want me? They're like, I just go in that room over there. You have 30 minutes to take the test. Whatever. It's $40 or something, whatever it is. You pay the amount. If you fail, you just pay the amount again. Hell yeah. Love that. Huge. Awesome. I failed the first time, obviously. And I remember thinking to myself, when I failed, it's like, it's not that big of a deal. There was a couple questions where I was like, interesting. I don't know the answer to this. Here's the beautiful thing. I can look in the book right now before I retake the test. I know what I know what I don't think I got right. Let me try that again. I've had a lot of people say like, oh yeah, I have a big test coming up. And I always ask because they'll say like, I'm afraid I'll fail. Can you retake it? Can you retake the test? If you can retake the test, then maybe I'm off on this. I don't know. To me, if you can retake the test, there's a Netflix documentary called Man on a Wire, I think. It's about somebody who walked from like maybe the Empire State Building to another thing. You know when that isn't...
It's hard no.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know when that isn't as brave? When you have a safety net underneath. Anybody can do that. Not anybody. I mean, obviously I wouldn't do it. But it's not as... you know what I mean? It's not as breathtaking.
Yeah.
Because in that moment, it's all that matters.
You can retake the test.
But if you can't retake the test is more valuable. You can't retake the test. Wedding pictures, why do you charge so much money for wedding pictures? Because you don't get do-over. That's it. That's it. I think ours were like $7,000 for wedding pictures. You don't get to do them over. You get them once. But if you go to your local park, this picture kind of sucked. Let me take another one. That is what I'm trying to get at this episode.
That's fire.
I'm sweating
and
profusely.
That's why eventually the speakers out there, the podcasters out there who they're like, raise your prices, charge 10 grand. It's like, you can't charge 10 grand. People can't be certain you're not going to mess this up. When you buy an Apple laptop, it's going to be the best. And that's why you spend $2,500. If it's brand new Jeff and Jeff Apple or computer company,
Pear.
do not spend $2,500.
We're not Apple, we're Pear. That's us.
Yeah, we're Pear company. It started out as Apple Computer, Pear Computers.
I like
That's what Jeff and Jeff Pear Computers. Come on down. You should not. Apple has 43 years perfecting their craft. 43 or 44 or whatever. And we have zero. I have a couple years in computer engineering. So we can make something decent. It's rock and roll. We're not going to be close to Apple, right? But we can make a podcast episode that's really strong. Even though it's not perfect, it's going to be better than someone else's. We've bettered our best enough times to where someone else's best, ours is better, even when it's not our best. Did that land at all?
I think so.
Good.
I kind of lost you halfway through and drifted off to what I was having for dinner, but no, I'm just kidding. No, I think it did.
Well, you can hold the duality of what you're having for dinner and what I'm saying.
Of course.
That's it. I think I think that everything matters and nothing matters simultaneously. You can choose now consciously. Like, does that test really matter that much? No. Okay. So now it's not the end of the world. Let me move forward. And I always say this, we're all achieving our way to the unachievable. The reason I say that is because it's duality. Your career matters, and this matters for your career. But if you screw up, whatever. It's all good. You're most likely statistically going to live to at least 75 or 74 if you're male, and keep after it. Keep getting better.
Yeah, I know we had a lot of laughs and a lot of giggles, but I really do think this is one of the most beneficial things to understand. It might just take some pressure off of you in the moment. And you might say, you know what? Today kind of sucked, but tomorrow's better. I did a post on that, got a lot of love, got a lot of messages. It was literally like, some days are going to suck, and that's okay. That was it. That was my
100%.
it was a video. Today kind of sucks, but tomorrow will most likely be better.
The
Maybe
sun
it won't
will
be better.
come out.
Tomorrow. It's going to be different. It's going to be different, most likely. So, yeah, my last thing, my ultimate goal, I know we were silly in this, but my ultimate goal for you, if you're watching or listening, is to have that understanding that if you get to do it over again, there's a lot of opportunity in that. And if you can get to the point where you understand in the moment that, yeah, it kind of sucks, but it's not going to suck in an hour, I think that's just a very powerful place to be, because you'll just get through stuff differently. That's my belief.
As long as you don't tie it to your identity and get stuck in shame. I had a old, I don't know if I'd call her a mentor, but one of my dear friend's mothers, she was wise. She said, everyone puts their best foot forward. Sometimes they just have a shitty foot. And what I would say to that is, that's true. But each time, are you trying to put a better foot forward? And I think if you focus on getting better, rather than on success or failure, you'll end up more successful.
I dig this. Another hyper-conscious episode.
It's been real good. I like hyper-conscious throwbacks, man.
Another hyper-conscious episode.
NLU, meets hyper-conscious podcast, meets conversations, change lives, son.
I like it. It's a good name, too.
That's an excellent name.
I wonder if it's taken. You think? I'm sure we're safe.
Next
Level
check
Nation.
Instagram.
Yeah, we'll have to check Instagram and the Apple Podcasts. We used to have a Facebook group called Hyper Conscious Nation.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have a Facebook group called Next Level Nation. Kind of the same idea, where you're going to be able to connect with like-minded individuals, and you'll be able to talk about what's real. And honestly, at the end of the day, you'll be able to be yourself. And I think we live in a very weird world, in a very weird reality, where sometimes being you is the hardest thing you can do. If you are struggling with that, please join Next Level Nation. We'd love to have you. Link is in the show notes below.
Once upon a time, I was in book club, right? You with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Kev? Okay.
No.
And I asked a very compelling question to the book club, and we did a poll. And I said, there's a part in the chapter about bumblebees. And I said, okay, poll time, anonymous. Do you have a positive association or a negative association with bumblebees? I think 60% had a positive association, 40% had negative, and all of the 40% of people I asked afterwards for them to share their story. It's not that bumblebees are good or bad. It's that you have an experience that was either good or bad about bumblebees. And then here's the kicker. Is it all bees now? Now do you hate all insects? Does any of this actually have anything to do with what was really dangerous? Are bumblebees even dangerous? Blah, blah, blah. The point is that we are shaped by the emotions we have in a moment. So if you had a heightened emotional moment with bumblebees as a kid, my sister, Kev, literally had a bumblebee fly into her mouth. I remember it vividly. We were on the deck.
Bumblebees don't sting, do they?
They do. I found out on book club they actually do sting. Yeah.
Wow.
Apparently.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anyways, How Emotions Are Made is a book in book club that we're reading about how we are all constructing our own life through our own emotions in moment to moment. So it's very, very powerful. I hope you join book club. You'll be able to engage. Again, you don't have to participate. You can just listen in, or you can participate. It gets pretty cool with all the different polls and all the different data. I like it. So
Alan's sorry, go ahead.
The link to the register, the link to the landing page to register will be in the show notes. There's a little form at the bottom of the page. You just say, "Hey, Alan, I want to join book club," and then I'll get back to you.
Alan, when he learns something new, he goes all in. So there's been polls all over the place. Like, hey,
oh yeah, man.
Yeah, figure out a way to put a poll here. Yeah. I don't know how to do it. Shout out to
I
Christina.
love the data.
I know.
It's really good data.
Tomorrow, Alan, for episode number 1343, it'll be a happy Sunday. What version of you should you be comparing to? You and I had a pretty deep conversation about this the other day, so that'll be a really good one. We talk often, or everybody talks often, about comparison being dangerous. I think comparison is necessary, especially if you're able to compare to something that's actually real and accurate. So we'll go into that tomorrow. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we don't have fans. We have family. We'll talk to you all tomorrow.
Determine what matters and what doesn't. Next Level Nation.